May have crashed.
Oh.
Take that.
Still have
technology.
some sort of wipe.
It's a book opening kind
That's excellent.
of. It's just
It wouldn't be the changeling like that anymore, obviously. So hey, oh hey.
Hold on. No.
okay.
How about now?
Check 1, 2.
I don't believe we should be echoing anymore.
Good.
Okay. It's because when that camera is providing audio.
Oops.
Whoops.
Yeah, it's because I just threw it in at the last second because
as
we
a
had them
source,
on
that's right.
Zoom and I threw them in as real live humans and forgot that
Turns
means
out
audio.
real live humans echo.
Echo.
Oh, yeah.
Isn't that like? Isn't there that thing where they say that
showered
like
today.
ducks don't echo, like their quacks don't echo, and it's entirely false, but for some reason people just believe that.
The ducks near our house echo.
Do they?
That one duck.
One very lonely duck that makes like "Rah" sound. I think it might be a goat.
I think
actually,
it was
now
a
that
duck that made it with a frog,
It's horrible.
potentially.
That is
Just
horrible.
saying.
A
So a
frog.
dog
A frog? A dog?
or a fruck.
Frog.
Frog.
I think I just said frog. Tried to portmanteau it. I just made one word anyway. Burp.
Hi everybody.
Hello.
This is our Session 0 Redux. Why is it a Redux? Scott can explain.
Yes, well, we've already had a session 0. This is session 0 V2, or Redux as we're calling it.
What about second session 0?
What about second session 0? Are we going to just keep going Redux, Redux, Redux?
Yeah, and we'll get Viggo Mortensen to chuck an apple at your head every time.
Honestly, I'd be honored, Mr. Mortensen. I would be honored.
Yeah, I would.
So that's the other question.
Ooh.
These two
Mortensen.
need to be flipped.
Oops.
Oh.
A flipo horizontale.
Oh, darn it. Kung Fu Fenris, you spoiled the surprise. Quick, Liz, do something.
Because I play Pyres now.
And I am playing Gale Whispered. I believe we can use this to our advantage.
Wind, wave, game.
Wind, wave.
Sparkle, sparkle.
Look, things have changed. And guess what? Things are going to change again because this might be the last day that we're running it in this room.
Right, there you go.
Hooray.
For people who don't know, we haven't actually been able to be together. For the entirety of Season 1, we had to play remotely because of the pandemic. It is now legal for us to be in the same room, but we do have to maintain a certain amount of distance between us, which is why it is set up as it is now. But we are all in the same room, which is pretty cool. But hopefully starting by next week, it will be legal for us to be in our normal configuration, where the players are going to sit over nya, and I will be sitting right
Yeah.
except that it won't even be in this room. It'll be in a different room in this place.
Right. A smaller room, a more intimate. I assume the point is just to get us in the smallest possible room.
Oh, so we're streaming from the bathroom now.
Yeah. I was thinking a closet, but yeah.
Oh,
let's
yeah.
Do a bathroom.
Yeah,
No, let's do a
so
bathroom. Great
no.
acoustics.
Yeah. Well, let's do it.
Getting the gang back together.
I mean, look, there were legal issues, there were moral issues, and there are ethical issues. But overall, we want to assure everybody that we are trying to make sure that we play as safely as we can. We are crawling our way out of the pandemic, which is fantastic. But if you ain't vaxxed, go get vaxxed. If you can. There are people who can't. If you can't get vaxxed, tell everybody else to get vaxxed. That'll protect you.
There you go.
Did they stab her in the eye when they vaxxed, or is your muscle high enough?
It was right up here.
Ah, there you
That
go.
is a high muscle.
I even asked the person, like, is it going to go with my tattoo? Like, nope.
Say
That's my fabulous story about that. Oh my god.
Sorry, I think it's
Drink up.
cocktail. It's the vaccine cocktail.
Because I am a Pfizer fuckboy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you're a Moderna man.
I'm a Moderna man, along with some other folks who are not here.
Early Moderna Millie.
Really, Moderna Millie was a big win right there.
Much.
It's a musical theater joke for those of y'all who do. Anyway, yeah.
We're happy to see you, Dio. We're happy to see a whole lot of people. Also
Yes.
happy to see Skeleton for Rent, who's
Halloween.
followed us, who I've known for longer than I've known basically all of you.
Whoa. You've been streaming on Twitch for that long?
I did not know Skeleton for Rent under the name Skeleton for Rent.
I understand. I
So.
understand now.
The new backdrops are throwing you off. Don't worry about it because they'll change next week.
Pfizer Philly.
A Pfizer Philly.
Nay.
We do also have to.
But we're actually in sync now rather than being like 1 second out of
It's true.
sync.
Means we can sing.
It's
We
true.
can.
Happy birthday.
Oh god, no, fuck no.
Someone out there?
Yeah, someone out there probably. Oh.
What I can say, though, first and foremost, which is fantastic, is because we are together, then hopefully our sound and our video will improve across the board back to pre-pandemic levels. But it is thanks to your support that we were able to make the very, very rapid adjustments needed to be able to play remotely without sacrificing hopefully too much in terms of quality. But just as a reminder, folks, you don't have to subscribe. You really don't. Nothing that we do is behind any sort of paywall with the exception of our Twitch emotes. So while we appreciate it, and we are... The sound was not repeating on track, which is what it should
Oh, that's because I was running it last. My bad.
When is forcing people?
Yeah, there's also that. You know, you can just show up and say a few words without a sub badge next to you, and a certain someone will fix the problem.
And rely on the kindness of Aragwins. We're
Yeah.
kidding.
So please do not in any way feel like you are required, but your support is very appreciated and it does keep us going. It all goes right back into the channel. And I mean, we're not even a year old on this channel because
Yeah,
remember
August.
we basically
August,
booted
yeah.
everybody out of mine
That's right.
right into here.
Damn. So soon though. It's coming up soon.
Yeah.
It's very exciting.
Well, maybe we'll do something special to commemorate a year
Happy
of
birthday.
I'm gonna. I just don't like that song.
Yeah,
It's
you
fine.
really
It's a
don't.
birthday song. It's fine. We should.
Mon
do
cher Scott. Anyway, c'est à ton tour de te laisser parler d'amour.
My dear Scott, it's your turn to talk about love.
Yep, that's the birthday song.
Fucking great.
What is a What is a session zero? You may be asking, although probably not most of you. A session zero is a chance for us to establish what we're going to do before we start playing. Why is the session zero important?
I am thinking about tech and not thinking about session zeros.
Cool. Why is the session zero important?
It's kind of like a check-in for everybody. So for us as players and storytellers, but also for your benefit as viewers, community members.
Yeah, I think it's important for like expectations, right? Normally an episode 0 would be before your first episode. We are having a Redux today, of course, but like it's important to set expectations. If one person thinks they're going to be playing in like a political, gritty, urban game and someone else is like, but I brought my high fantasy pants or what, you know what I mean? Like,
My high fantasy pants.
it's just yeah, expectations, and that goes beyond setting and tone. It goes into safety as well, and limits and lines and veils and so on. So we're doing that today.
Whoa! Skeleton for Rent just goes hard.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Wait a minute. Skeleton for Rent, did you gift 5 subs and yet also are not subbed yourself?
Uh-oh.
Which I'm not going to say that's just a bit strange.
Share the love.
Love it.
Yeah, being frequent Gwen-like.
Thank you.
It's quote ad, Cyphus.
But I do like it, so please do.
But I brought my high fantasy pants. Yeah.
Pro solar move. Tell you what we can do, though, is we're going to get right away, we're going to start when it comes to safeties. So let's bust these out and let's talk about it. We have safety cards, which we use throughout it all. We'll get onto our lines and veils in a second, which is more what we do in session 0, but these are important because they matter for all of our role-playing no matter what. These are cards that we use not because we're trying to restrict ourselves, but actually to unlock ourselves, to let us feel comfortable with pushing boundaries or by pushing our limits, knowing that at any point if we feel like we can't go further, we can pull ourselves back. How do we use these? Glad you asked. The green card, also known as the play card, means I'm all good. Everything that's happening is happening, and it's all good for me. No matter what I look like on the outside, I might be sobbing, I might be angry, I might be, ripping paper in front of me or punching Scott, but despite what I look like on the outside, I am thoroughly invested in the game and wish to continue. Everything is fine. So it's kind of an unequivocal, we're all good. The yellow card, also known as the pause card, means I need everybody at the table to pause. I have something I have to tell you. So while the card is being held up, the game is on pause while you let people know something. Maybe it's, I'm getting close to my limit, just wanted to let you know. Maybe it's, hey, this session I'm feeling a little vulnerable, or I'm feeling a little tired, or I'm feeling a little excitable. Just something that is very important for everyone at the table to drop what's happening and pay attention. But once you put the card down, play can continue. The red card, also known as the stop card, however, means that play must immediately cease. If we do this on stream, then we may go to a be right back screen, so you will not be privy to what we are going to discuss. I'm actually going to show you what the be right back screen looks like for 2 seconds, just so that you can see what it looks like. So it takes us back to that kind of opening screen, and you'll be able to see the chat as it goes by. But we will, at that point, pause the game and stop so that we can discuss about what we need to do to make sure that everybody feels safe and supported and ready to continue playing. Maybe we have to retcon what just happened. Maybe we have to fade to black and move on. Maybe we have to really pull a 180 and figure out something else entirely. But no matter what, game does not resume until everybody at the table feels like they are ready to keep going, not just the person who initially put up the card. You are in the audience, which means that you don't have cards, but you do have options. You can always whisper one of our moderators. In this case, Aragorn is in chat, and you can whisper her. Or you can whisper RPGClinic, in which case I will see it. Let us know if there's something that's going on that you are not entirely comfortable with. We may or may not be able to accommodate you. After all, there's only 4 of us. It's a bit easier. But there are so many out there in the audience, whether you're watching it live or whether you're watching it on YouTube or listening to it through your favorite podcast app. If we can't necessarily accommodate you, and there's a chance, you always have the option of closing chat or leaving the stream entirely. We don't want to see you go, but we do want you to stay safe and stay healthy and stay right with things. But if you let us know, we'd still like to take that into account.
Yep. It's great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, beyond that, as members of the audience, maybe request a card check if things start to look too real on our end, just wanting to be polite. So that's from Requiem Lost. Let's throw that up on screen, because I think that's a very good question.
Yeah.
So what do you think? Do we want it so that if the audience asks for a card check, asks in essence for somebody to show green if they are worried, do we want to say that we'll do our best to pay attention to the audience for that?
I would say do our best is emphasis on, because if it would break immersion, then you can, like, if we don't show a card, I think the audience can assume that we're checking in with ourselves. But that you're certainly welcome to ask, and even if it's a discreet card shown, I think that's cool.
Yeah, and sometimes we're focused on role playing, so we may not actually see chat until afterwards. But it's definitely happened that there have been times, and people are like, "Are they okay?" Like, I think people even asked like something like card check, and after the fact, we're like, "Oh yeah, this is fine."
Yeah.
But if one of us sees it in chat and the player in question is like engaged in a scene, we can also, as mentioned before, we can flash these to each other questioningly.
Yeah.
Right. If we need.
Hey, I'm okay.
Yeah.
Are you okay?
Are you okay?
And
Exactly.
I'm going to reiterate something that Kate said, because I think it's really worth noting. We may not see chat right away.
Yeah.
I can see the 4 of them. If I hold up a card, it's very easy for everybody to see. But it's not necessarily easy for us to read chat if we're in the middle of a scene. If I'm staring Elizabeth in the face and we're going like one-on-one, I'm not looking at chat. And neither is she, most likely. So please post it in chat. Just understand that we may not be able to react right away. And if you post it in chat, sometimes all we need is the reminder to know that we can use these cards.
Yeah.
One of the things about safety cards is that it can sometimes be difficult, even though we have the tools to, and this is an example, making sure that that's clear, to flash a card, even if we're like, because we always feel a little bit, like I'm disrupting things. Oh yeah, I'm not feeling so great about something. We as humans don't like to put everyone else down.
Truth.
But if you post it in chat, like, hey, are you all right? Then sometimes that's enough to kick me into like, no, I'm not. I'm not entirely okay. Or no, I'm really not okay and we need to stop.
Yeah, it's definitely good to remind us to use the cards.
That's true.
That's so, yeah, because then because you're also doing other people who watch a favor, right? Because we're normalizing the use of safety tools. We're removing the taboo around them. We're removing the weirdness from it. So encouraging the use of them is better for everybody, not just for us, but for the community at large and people who are listening right now and watching.
Yeah.
Shall we move on to the other safety tools that we use?
Let's do it.
So, one thing that I can say is that we use lines and veils. These are things that we discuss typically in a session 0, like you see here. Things that we know are lines. We do not want to see this in game at all. And veils, things that we're comfortable with as long as they're only alluded to as opposed to explicitly described. So I'm not sure that we're going to go into a huge in-depth conversation, but we can mention some various lines and veils that we have, or especially if any have changed since the last time that we talked about it. Somebody want to come up with something that they want to mention?
Yeah, I don't know if I would have iterated this in episode 0 at the, season 1. I have a veil around and so I don't mind it being alluded to, but I definitely don't want to play out any scenes of intense claustrophobia myself. Too many kind of visual memories, you know what I mean? And
Right.
it's not cool. So that would be a veil for me. I'm okay with that content being
Like
present
somebody
in the
getting
game.
slammed in a small cell. We can describe that someone gets shoved into a small cell, but we won't describe what it feels like to be.
Right, we don't have to live there for a year.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We.
Okay.
Yeah, that's me. That's a
It's a
veil.
great example of a
Thanks,
veil.
man.
Thanks, man.
Thanks, man.
A veil for me is, I've brought this up before, it's around animals being injured or suffering. So if one does have to be hurt, I would much rather it be off screen, as it were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's completely fair. Anything on you?
I know at some point I was there was mention of someone having potentially a deceased parent or something, and at that point I was like, not today, not this week. I'm okay with that being discussed again, but I think I still have a veil around hospitalization of medical long-term hospitalization situations at the moment.
Okay. It's fair.
Yep, but I mean, we can be battle injured and have to be treated for wounds, and all of that is fine. It's just prolonged illness.
Thankfully, in essence, that's really not that much of a
Basically
problem.
It's true, actually.
Yeah.
Anything for you, John?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it is also important to note that the storyteller is just as much of a player as anyone else in terms of this sort of situation. So I will reiterate that I have a hard line towards sexual assault. I just know if that's fine with everybody else. And honestly, otherwise, there isn't much that has changed. I will say that we have a veil over strong depictions of gore, but that's just a long-standing veil that we've had. Light depictions of oh no's are fine, but we're not going to spend 5 minutes describing
Body
that.
horror, right?
Yeah, and not to say that horror won't take a part in this game, as we kind of run the gamut of the various emotions that we have, but beyond that, I'm feeling pretty safe.
Nice.
All of you?
Yeah. I'd say so.
Now, we did mention sexual assault, so maybe it would be a good time for us to discuss the red rule.
A.
The red rule states, and here I will read, characters can only be seduced or otherwise put in a sexual situation if the player is okay with it. Otherwise, any such attempt fails automatically. Players and the storyteller can and do waive this rule's protection, but only if they're comfortable doing so. So we are playing characters that can be supernaturally charismatic.
Mm-hmm.
And with that supernatural charisma can also come supernatural getting down. But I'm sure that all of you know that it's very important that if anybody tries to seduce your character, you can at any point just say, no.
Yeah.
And it doesn't work. I don't care how many dice I have to roll. I don't care how awesome my powers are as storyteller. Any point. You can just say, no. Now, does that apply to my characters?
Yes.
I mean, I would hope so.
Very much so. Now, in general, I'm not, like, I typically waive this right. But
Well,
I always have the, it's just like consent. I can revoke that right at any time. You can also be like, I can be seduced today, but I can't be seduced tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
I could be seduced yesterday, but I can't be seduced today.
Yeah.
that's
An hour ago.
that's the nature of it, right?
A minute ago. 45 seconds ago.
45 seconds. Damn.
Aragorn brings up an incredibly important point. Let's just make sure that that's emphasized. The game's characters are also above the age of consent, even though they have been attending a secondary school/academy. Just assume that everybody is the age of consent if they are going to be involved in any kind of romantic liaison at all. And we're not going to define what age of consent is because that matters and changes around the globe. So it just
And
is.
throughout history. Yep.
Yep.
But yeah.
We know what the
Fair.
term means, and that's what's,
Yeah.
There you go.
Oh, you haven't missed your window to seduce me. Don't worry, Realty Marlborough.
Whoa.
Don't worry.
Don't worry.
Exalted fucking is fun, but wow.
Wow.
In terms of other safety rules, there isn't a whole lot, but there are 2 other rules, and then we're going to get those rules out of the way, and then we get to discuss the fun stuff.
Yep.
Scott, you remember what the golden rule is?
I always mix up the golden rule and the
Try.
golden rule. I'm going to try it. I believe the golden rule is the one that's like, the rules are less important than having fun. If you're not having fun, if the rules are getting in the way of you having fun, then change the rules.
If you don't like one of these rules, change it.
Don't use it. Exactly. There you go.
That's exactly right. We can change rules whenever we want, and because we're using a system which is not fully released, that's going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, actually.
Yeah.
Oh, Requiem's got a question.
Ooh.
I'm going to leave somebody else to answer it, but I'll read the question aloud. Just to check, if the red rule is invoked, do you assume no repercussions in game for invoking it? I feel that I do not need to ask about out of character because obviously it shouldn't.
Do you assume no repercussions in game? Yeah. I mean, I would.
So is that like this? Because this is something that we haven't touched yet, but in Essence, there's a new sort of situation when it comes to social influence, which sort of falls in the general direction of trying to get romantically or physically involved with someone, is that even if you succeed at your role, they can say, no, I will not do this because of consent. And there are alternatives in the case for this, which is to do something slightly different, just completely ignore it and they get a benefit later, or just my character would never do this. And the latter, they include the red rule in that last one. It's just a no. This doesn't happen.
That would
It's
make sense.
considered unacceptable influence, would be the game term.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, in terms of like narrative repercussions, I would say that's a case by case basis, depending on the situation.
Yeah, but like your character won't be like penalized for not wanting to like.
Oh no,
for-
I meant more the other way around.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
You asked me to do this and I didn't want to, so now I'm gonna kick your ass.
Yeah,
Kind of thing as being repercussions.
That's fun.
yeah. Unless people at the table decide to retcon that conversation.
Yeah.
But yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but it's a good thing to check. So, short answer, no. There are no repercussions to invoking the red rule, either in or out of game. The only repercussions that you end up doing is, if you spurn somebody's advances, then they are spurned. I am spurned!
She's spurné.
Hey, plucky.
So,
Thank you.
you successfully said what the golden rule was.
Yes!
Indeed, sometimes I mix up golden and orichalcum. Liz, do you feel adventurous?
No, I fully thought that was I thought the golden rule was the orichalcum rule.
So what's the orichalcum rule?
I thought it was if a rule doesn't work, change it.
So
Oh.
this one's a little more complicated. The orichalcum rule states...
That's it. I see it. Story and fun is more better than rules.
Right.
So they're both along the same line.
Yeah.
They're pretty much on the same line. The difference between the golden and the orichalcum rule is that the golden rule says you can change a rule whenever you want if you feel like it needs to be changed. The orichalcum rule says if the rules no longer make sense in terms of story or fun, then the rules don't apply or the rules change. So if we're like, oh yeah, no, that person should totally be dead. And I'm like, according to the rules, it's possible to do it. And everyone else is like, boo.
Yeah. We're not going to boo you, but...
We're not, well, you can boo me. It's fine.
Oh, okay. Good.
Yeah,
Thank you for consent.
Of course.
Thank you, John. I will.
I'll see you.
I'll see you and I'll raise you one of these.
So yeah. But that's, I think, the last of the rules that we have to go over, unless anybody else has any specific safety rules and stuff that they want to discuss, so we can get to the rest of it.
I don't think so.
Cool.
Plucky, thank you.
Hey.
We just got finished a whole conversation about how you don't have to subscribe, Plucky. Anyway, thank you very much.
I'm going to
Appreciate
still
it.
say it's thank you for subscribing.
Oh, no, huge thanks. Thanks.
Yeah.
The rule of cool. I like it.
Yeah, the rule of cool. Meaning if it's cool or fun for the story, then it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. That is an important...
It feels like a bit of a way of not clamping down because, like, you know, people obviously have fun in different ways, but it feels like a bit of a way of, like, making sure that someone can't sort of, like, rules lawyer their way into a situation where it's, like, always winnable or like, you can't be defeated or whatever. It's like, well, not cool for the story.
Elizabeth, can for next session you braid your headset wire into your hair?
Absolutely.
Yes.
That would be
And then at the end, I'll be like, we're done.
Why?
head of hair comes off.
Just flies off.
I knew you were looking for that asymmetrical undercut bob.
I gave it to myself. Oh, God.
So, can you imagine
Yeah,
if it just tears
100%.
like a perfect, like, I don't know, lightning bolt or whatever through the side of your... No, okay, that's less cool.
Yeah.
We are changing systems. So while we're still maintaining the setting of Exalted, the setting hasn't changed. We are, however, shifting from Exalted 3rd Edition over to Exalted Essence. Exalted Essence as a system is designed to be a more rules light. Whoa, Obsidian Heart! Just
What chat? Chat's gone.
slamming in.
Thank you so much, Obsidian.
Thank you.
And just like that, Obsidian Heart was gone. Sub only chat.
Oh, my God.
Aragwen's ecstatic. This is great. Thank you all very much.
It's very
Yes, we
appreciated.
got to give you a season 2 now.
I guess.
It's
Sorry.
considered a more rules light
Yes.
thing. Now, what does rules light mean? This isn't like a fate system, or this is actually still a pretty crunchy system, but it is much less crunch than the core for Exalted 3rd Edition, which if I had it within reach, I would show you is enough to bludgeon somebody to a bloody pulp.
It's a monster.
massive.
It's a beast.
Now, as a result, we are needing to change things about our characters and also about the way that we play. I guarantee you that there will be parts while we're playing where we're not going to be as confident about the rules because the rules are brand new. And of course, also the rules are not fully formed.
Yeah.
We only have access to the manuscript, which was available as part of the Kickstarter for Exalted Essence, which just recently closed. Congratulations, Onyx Path, on a
Huge
successful
win.
Kickstarter.
Yeah.
A huge Kickstarter, yeah, it did incredibly well. But the text isn't finished. It's not edited completely, and there are what are called versioning issues where different parts of the manuscript were kind of pasted together, and so some rules don't make as much sense as maybe they should. So we may find that there are changes that we'll have to make from one session to the next if we discover rules that just don't work the way that we thought they did.
That said, if I can jump in super quickly, we have, as most of you probably know, we have converted our characters from Season 1 to this new system, in essence. We have our, current, I'm not going to say complete, but current character sheets. And those VODs of those conversions are up on RPGClinic's YouTube channel if you want to check out the process that we went through to try to figure out how do I keep this person who they are, but put them into a different system.
Yeah, so I guess that also serves as a Dick's claimer.
Oh, a Dick's claimer.
A Dick's claimer.
Hello, I'm Dick's claimer.
I'll take that.
Oh my god. That if you notice that maybe our stats are not at the same, like if it hasn't been perfectly ported over, hey, that's why some compromises needed to be made, and our characters may have shifted slightly during flight.
Yes. Please be careful
Exercise
of opening
caution
the
when opening the overhead
bins.
bins.
Gilledgood wants to know.
Gilledgood has a question about what I was about to mention, is that some things completely changed, and Merits is a big one of those, where some of them were just cosmetic anyway, so just like, whatever, if you want to have wings but they don't let you fly, great, you've got wings. Great. You want to be super tall? Great, you're super tall. Other things, you no longer have to spend 4 merit points to be able to use martial arts. You can just buy them like any other charm, which is super cool. Pain tolerance also doesn't exist, so there goes basically all of my merits. So we found other uses for my merits, and we sort of got creative with one option that felt relevant to my character based on her background and what had happened in the storyline and what we've talked about happening moving forward. So I don't know whether now is the time to discuss them.
Yeah, we might as well, I think. I think that makes sense. We'll go from left to right. So we'll start with Kate. You had probably the most trouble porting your merits over just because most of your merits were spent on things that no longer exist. Mm-hmm. So what kind of merits do you have right now?
So we went with my primary merit being backing House of Bell students, or former disbanded, ex-House of Bell students. Backing is technically for a organization like the guild, and this is kind of a disorganization. And so that's part of why we've talked about it. We feel like it's narratively going to be okay that despite it being a primary merit and it counting as backing, I'm not going to just be able to every session call on someone to appear. But they will be broad because they have been dismissed across the entire Blessed Isle and possibly out into the rest of creation. So it's the kind of people that I may be able to contact to maybe do a favor or help a little bit, but it's not going to necessarily always be there. So that's sort of what we figured out to make sense based on what had happened at the end of last season.
Cool.
I have a secondary merit of an ally of Siantel. Just because she's my ally doesn't mean she only listens to me. It doesn't mean that, she can't go off and canoodle with a certain other member of the Hearth.
Right.
But this is just a way of our group collectively assigning dots to account for our allies, because having moderately strong Dragon-Blooded is quite an asset.
Yeah.
Then I have Masterwork Armor, which is something that we cooked up because Arrested didn't have artifacts. They're pretty personal when you do have an artifact, so it didn't feel appropriate that she just have found one, pulled it off of a dead body or found it by the side of the road.
Discipline.
Yeah. Basically it's medium armor, but it has no mobility penalty. Burp.
Hey.
And resources 1. Those are my merits.
This isn't to preclude the idea that you may end up getting an artifact in the future, but there was kind of a feeling that these are signature items that you're carrying, whether it's artifact armor, artifact weapons, or other wonders. So I think that it's worth waiting and seeing whether an artifact will cross Arresta's path at that point. So yeah, there's some fudging around of that, but yeah. Let's hear from Scott.
Perfect. My primary merit, surprising no one, I don't think, would be my artifact weapons. I have 2 Jade Dieclaves, Hope and Abandon, that I made a lot of use of in Season 1, so that makes sense to me as a primary merit. I also took an ally as a secondary merit, Flavienne, the other member of our hearth. So again, she's not my ally exclusively, and I can't just, throw her out when I feel like it or whatever.
Again, I choose you.
Phew, but it's a way of
not
making
the
sure that
Pokemon. I don't understand.
you have any bread.
I only say my name now. Fliv. Flivian.
Yeah.
I mean, no, we'll talk about that later. Anyway, yeah, so that makes sense to me. And then for my 2 tertiary merits, I took, similarly, contacts in the former House of Bells students. Rather than backing, I felt like it made sense for, Pyres to still have contacts within that group of people that he wanted to stay in touch with. Influence in House Cathak. John and I had a really good discussion about whether I wanted to give up the sort of stipend that that Pyre's family was paying him at the House of Bells, or his influence within House Cathak, or influence being known within it. And I chose that after the events of season 1, that Pyres no longer has a stipend, so no more resource merit, but does still have the ability to sort of influence and work within his great house.
So, sorry, your 4 then are Hope and Abandon.
Yeah. Flivian.
Flivian.
Influence House Cathak, and contacts, former House of Bell students.
So it is important to note that contacts and backing work differently.
Yes.
Contacts is specifically for gaining information.
Yeah.
So
Sorry, yes.
if you are looking for information about a topic that House of Bell students would be able to help you with, we would be using contacts, not your backing.
Mm-hmm.
If we were asking for the House of Bell students to do something,
Right.
we would be using backing and not contacts. So you haven't, in fact, rendered each other redundant.
That's good.
They involve 2 different things.
I'm hoping Arresta's going to pull a you and what army? This one. I just snap the fingers, you get the
That
whole...
would be followers.
That
we
would
had
be command.
command. Yeah, we had a whole conversation because there were 4 different categories.
Yeah, and you're
Yeah.
pretty sweet.
How about you?
I chose as my primary my artifact, which I wrote artifact.
Nice.
Great start. Sorry, my chakra. Then we have.
Liz, sound gone?
Oh no.
Thanks for letting us know.
Is it flashing?
Nope.
Blue lights?
Looking good.
Oh yeah.
Check.
Yeah, I hear her.
Short.
Mike sounding distant.
It's crackly.
Crackly. Okay, hold on. Which one are you again?
She's A.
A?
I'll just remove all obstacles. There we go.
Here's A. A is plugged into 3. Mute you for a second.
Did you say curse?
Of course.
Okay. That makes more sense.
Check.
Go ahead, Liz.
Check. Checkity check.
Let us
Artifacts.
know, folks.
Artifacts. A read facts.
Okay,
Normal.
you seem to be fine.
The paper was too strong.
Moving a glass, a dice roller. It's a direct path now. Okay. So my Arete fact, Soaring Eye, is my primary, and then my secondary is an ally in the form of Bracken.
Oh, we remember Bracken.
We remember our good friend Bracken. The
So your
ex-librarian.
secondary implies that she is of the equivalent power of a young Exalt, according to the book. In fact, the reason why it's a secondary is because she isn't traveling with you.
Correct.
She is more powerful than an individual young Exalt, but you don't have access to her 100% of the time.
All of the
She's
time.
often at the casino,
Yeah, rolling
Yeah.
them bones.
We gotta track her down.
Nice. Rush.
Then for my tertiary, we have resources 2. Guess I'll be buying you dinner.
Whoa, where did you
Pyres.
get money?
When
we talked about this.
Nargis.
So my idea is that Gail has actually been hoarding money for a while, leading up
Aragorn.
to her entrance into the House of Bells. So she has an account or something that she can draw from. She's been pitting her parents against each other to get double allowance her entire life because they don't like each other very much. They don't chat much, so it's been great.
Hello, I'm Ladal Gale Whispered.
Hello.
I'll take it all.
I'll take it all.
I'm making a withdrawal.
And then my last one is influence in Gateway. People who know Gateway know me.
Oh, damn. Well, so there you
right.
go, Aragwen. Running an underground gaming circuit. No. Gateway. Perfectly legitimate.
Yeah.
Fun stuff.
So in what circumstances would you be able to potentially access this influence over Gateway?
I'm thinking that if we traveled somewhere and were recognized, then a way to potentially keep us safe, at least for a bit, might be if people recognize me for my gateway prowess. Because I'm like a mini celebrity.
And of course, as you continue to play Gateway, which for those of you who may not know, Gateway is kind of like the equivalent of chess in the realm of the realm.
The realm, yeah.
Chess, or like perhaps a bit more complicated than chess. It's the game that people play is Gateway. So as you continue to show your prowess, then perhaps your rating in that will increase.
Exactly.
Can't wait for the one episode where it's just like Aresta and I as like peanut gallery, as like Gale just plays Gateway for 3 hours.
Yeah, because we like run out of money. We're broke.
You have to get us some more.
I gotta go back into
Liddell's
the game.
Gambit.
Oh,
shit! Go back. Yeah,
that would actually be because then you could also build in like House Liddell's Gambit in the.
Well, she's a big inspiration for the character of Gale, which of course I only realized after, as with all my.
No
characters.
way.
I never would have thought.
Shut up. No, I'm just kidding. I think it's fantastic.
Exactly.
I totally just hit
love
the
it.
mic.
Oh
Oh no.
Ooh.
That's better.
That's
Check 1, 2.
Oh. Cool. Those are the merits.
There's some other changes that have been made, which are kind of sort of retcons that I figure we should point out. For instance,
Oh yes.
for you, Pyres, what's different about you? What is this? What is this new thing?
Very specifically,
What is it you can't face?
what is it you can't face? What I can face. Pyres now has a couple of charms in the Fire Dragon style martial art, which, I mean, I didn't even consider taking because in Exalted Third because of the merit points, because it didn't fit my character, whatever. It feels right now. I won't get into the DM me on Discord or whatever. We can talk about it, like if you want.
Slide into Pyres.
Slide
DMs.
into my DMs. Yeah. Sorry, Pyres.
Pyres.
DMs. Yeah. Whew. Is it hot in here? It's fine. Yeah. So that's new, right? Because that would have been a big difference in season 1. There you go.
And has there been any other major changes in terms of abilities that we should be focusing on?
I don't
for
have
any of the
80,000 intimacies.
You will.
I still have Earth Dragon style. I managed to keep Glorious Exalted Bolt, which is the current version of
Elemental
Bolt that I had before, so that's super good. The one thing that changed is that there aren't really any specific existing in the system charms or abilities that let you stay up late, breathe longer, underwater, things like that Aresta had invested pretty heavily into, but we've talked about it. And between the fact that I have extremely high fortitude and physique, and just the narrative aspect of it, like other merits, we've just agreed that it'll be more of a role based on those stats, or it'll just be like, yeah, Aresta can take it.
A fortitude physique.
Yeah. So yeah.
Story over?
Story over.
Gorgoroth? Just rolled a soak drowning damage.
A.
What about you, Elizabeth? Any major changes that you've noticed to your character?
Nothing. Nothing huge. There was a little bit of a discussion around embassy specifically, which sort of now encompasses linguistics, bureaucracy, and
Elements of socialize.
and yeah. Yes. So it felt weird to put embassy up high, but I did want to account for the linguistics score that Gale had, which I think was 4 by the end of season 1. So embassy is at 3. So the idea is, though, with stuff like that is maybe she's not so great at exercising elements of bureaucracy or socialize, but she does understand them, and then the linguistics is also accounting for that score. So that's kind of how we've justified it.
Some of this is also justified through the use of charms.
Mm-hmm.
You'll have access to some charms, and you don't necessarily have to buy the charms that are more bureaucracy focused, but you can buy the charms that are more linguistics focused, which in fact you have. This has already been done. So Gorgoroth asks a question which I think is appropriate to answer here. The events of season 1 still occurred, but it's time for new adventures. Same characters, same story, but they're no longer at the House of Bells Academy. Why is that?
Stop now if you haven't watched the end of season 1.
And want
Spoilers.
Yeah, I'd argue that now is a very good place to jump on if you want to jump on without watching season 1.
Yes.
Yeah.
Also, yes, if you have 2 episodes left, maybe pause. But if you're jumping on board,
at the end of the season 1, the end of season 1 of ExalTwitch Academy, the House of Bells came under attack from forces both known and unknown. And the school is gone. I mean, it's not razed to the ground, but essentially most of the faculty have been killed. A lot of the buildings were destroyed. And we, as a Hearth and as players, like, the characters are not going to be there anymore. It's not that there's nothing there. It's just we decided to move on.
And in fact, there may very well be a story circulating to the higher ups in the political sphere that we were somehow the cause of the destruction of the House of Bells because we were anathema sympathizers and we led a rebellion that was terrible.
Yeah, we were defending them from...
We were getting attacked out of nowhere, and we defended ourselves.
Exactly.
And our classmates.
All about perspective.
ExalTwitch Academy Season 2, the PR nightmare. My nightmares.
My nightmares. I'm trying to think if there's any other like details or big picture elements about the end of the first season that
we're now outlaws. Essentially.
I'd
like to imagine there are wanted posters of us all around.
But did they get your nose just right?
No.
Pyres has like a number beneath, and everyone's been taking the number. You know? Like, oh, I can call him. Yeah.
It's just a pile of posters, and with everyone you take off, like there's an element of his clothing. That's like, that's all.
This would be a good
Who made a flip book for him? I don't understand.
People show up with your wanted poster. Can I have a signature?
Yeah, autograph? Yeah.
This would be a good time for us to mention that if you have headcanon original characters.
Oh, yes.
So those of you in the audience, there are people who have created characters who were attending the House of Bells so that they could comment on things kind of in character, either live in chat or also on our Discord. You can still do this. Just be aware that students might not be in the same kind of location. So, by all means, you can keep your old ones or you can create new ones. It's all up to you.
Mm-hmm.
Go for it.
Yay, Dio.
Absolutely.
And there's some questions happening here as well.
So let's see about some questions here. I see some here from Gil Adgood, so let's call those up if I can actually get there. There we go. So, some questions about how that was resolved. 1, how did you deal with the wounded, both to evacuate them and because they saw you deal with an anathema? And 2, how did you deal with your prisoners, both the 1st and 7th years?
So at the end of season 1, we gathered all the students, or Aresta specifically, called everyone to release the 1st and 7th years and spoke to the entire school to basically say, this is what happened, this is the story, which is going to absolve you of as much involvement as possible, and hopefully us. But basically, we were attacked, we defended ourselves, and the school is gone, so we're all going home or wherever the heck you want to go. There was intel, thanks to Gale Whispered, that we could very much expect either backup or other assailants or who knows what within about 24 hours. So it was a bit of a situation of do whatever you can for whoever, for yourselves, and then get out, because if we stay, we're all done for.
Yeah, I believe the wounded, I don't think we, like...
Mostly, I mean, they're Dragon-Blooded, right?
Yeah.
So, like, they mostly would be able to get out of there within 24 hours.
I would imagine sort of like individual fangs would have, because at the House of Bells in particular, we're grouped together in like groups of 5, right? And in fangs, presumably those groups supported each other in evacuating or leaving the space, either going home or off on adventures. Or maybe more serious adventures.
Yeah.
We'll see.
In times of war, things get messed up. So there's naturally going to be some elements that maybe the player characters didn't tie up perfectly. And that's just got to be the way war is. Skeleton Verent has some questions, and I think that maybe players would like to weigh in on this, especially because we might change how things happen for Season 2. How does the HCOC, or headcanon original characters, work? Is it parallel play? Does it ever influence story? Fascinated by this concept right now. I assume that's what RN stands for.
Yeah,
Yes.
Oh, you're hip with the kids.
You could say.
Yes, kids.
Yes, the children.
Warning, average age of the viewers of RPG Clinic may be in excess of 30.
So headcanon, like HCOC, as per posted before, if you join our Discord, there are links there to be able to kind of build your character via an online tool, Lotcasting Atemi, which specifically is for Exalted 3rd Edition. So
That's okay. I'm going to throw away that you can make your own. Go, continue.
yeah, and just that, there's a way to build essence characters via a certain Kate who made this fillable character sheet, which is there. There you go. How it works, though, is, it's an opportunity, or at least the way I saw it kind of like originally conceived, as an opportunity for players to, for viewers, to have characters in the game to be able to comment on and kind of interact with the happenings in the story. Is it parallel to the main story? Is it canon? Will it ever influence the story? I'm not the storyteller. No.
I'm not the storyteller.
I'm not the storyteller, so maybe you're going to change this.
But what
John.
would you like?
What would I like?
Yes. In fact, this is a question
That is
for
a
all
great
the
question.
players. What would you like?
I just feel like it's a slippery slope when you start saying like, oh yeah, you viewers can make things and like they'll interact with the game and stuff, because I love you all, but then there's going to be somebody out there who's going to do something terrible. You know what I mean?
Yeah, someone.
Yeah. Oh. Bun.
I think knowing that that never say never is a thing. Like there's certainly, the possibility that something from HCOC could influence the game, but there should never be an expectation about it. I think that's the best way to go forward.
Yeah.
Yeah, because particularly in Season 1, they were theoretically other students at the school witnessing the events, so it was a way to be a fly in the wall, but better because you were actually a student there. There's a bunch of sort of minor roleplay within chat, which is really cool to see. But moving forward, I think it's also just difficult to say who these people could or should be beyond what would make you happy, because we don't necessarily know where exactly we're going. So if we're like, yeah, you should all be townsfolk in Arjuf, and then we like don't ever go there.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, still growing these turnips, like. You know what I mean?
Arjuf has a booming.
I don't know why you're playing a mortal farmer, but like whatever.
So I want to make some proposals here.
Yeah.
First thing that I'm going to point out right away is something that I think basically everybody echoed and is true. You cannot expect to have an influence on the game because it's for any number of reasons. You're in the wrong location, or perhaps you've made a suggestion to the game that we just don't feel would make a great addition to the story. We do have to make sure that we maintain a certain amount of continuity, all of that sort of thing. But there are a couple of things that have changed from Season 1 to Season 2. And the major one, the one that I think is most important, is we no longer have to deal with being remote. And hopefully that will stay that way. This actually provides a huge cognitive load on us, which we no longer have to worry about. And as a result, something that we have done in our campaigns in the past in RPG Clinic have been to, on a very limited basis, and when I say very limited, I mean very limited basis, allow for certain amounts of audience participation. This has become something that's perhaps not a guarantee, but it might be more on the table now than it was before, because we no longer have to worry about as many tech issues or, again, that cognitive load. So I cannot guarantee that anyone's going to be called upon. But I will say this, I pay attention to the HCOC. And if something happens among that amount of play that's occurring that I consider interesting and that I can see a way to integrate it into the story, I don't see why I wouldn't. If it means that at some point one of our characters who has access to either backing or contacts in the House of Bells or former students of the House of Bells, and I see an opportunity to have an audience member provide the answer for it, that can absolutely happen. So I'm not going to say no. I'm not going to say never. I can't say, oh yeah, it's happening. And it almost certainly won't happen for at least the first little bit as we once again get back into our flow here. Tech issues are going to continue to happen as every single time anything changes, there's going to be things that we're going to have to worry about.
Yep.
But I do like the idea of having an ability for the audience to throw something out there and for the game itself to be like, huh.
Yeah. Agreed.
And otherwise, it's just fun to play.
Yeah.
And play around.
Can I tack on really quick? Because I realize we haven't actually addressed this. Scotty, tack on. Essence, Scotty, tack on. It doesn't affect us in this campaign, but Exalted Essence, one of the major sort of like points of the system is that it contains rules for building any of the kinds of Exalted in Exalted, which if you're a fan of Exalted, there are, more than two. There are a lot. When Exalted 3rd dropped, like you're building solar characters, there's now rules for like Dragon-Blooded and Lunars, probably with more types on the way, but Essence contains rules for all of the Exalt types because it's a more streamlined system. That means if you think that there's a really cool type of Exalt out there that you want to build a character for and make it an HCOC, freaking go for it. Yeah. I know there's tons of kinds. Like my mind wheels are turning, and we had a very important discussion before we started this season of like, do you want to keep your character? Do you want to make something new? Like, anyway, I just think that's important to point out because there's some cool stuff going on here for sure.
Right.
Gilligood brings up something which I kind of want to highlight because I think that this is a great example of an HCOC. So this is a new original character. Final Horizon, if I remember correctly, is a sidereal who's in charge of basically monitoring the House of Bells.
Whoops. Now that's going to be good.
That's so good.
Yeah. So the idea that he wakes up in Yushan, has a look at the report, and then just... and they're running out. See, this is an example of something that I find really interesting, and it provides a great kind of like background for anybody who wants to read it, and it can enrich the game. But if I like the idea enough, there's a chance, and if it fits, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, it has to. Yeah. I could love an idea and be like, that had never happened, but it's still amazing.
Yeah.
But if I like the idea enough, there's a chance that it might start filtering into game.
His first
assignment.
Yeah.
No. I'm so sorry.
That dog was 2 days away from retirement. That's rough.
So yes, exactly, Skeleton Friend. This is kind of an example of extended lore. And one thing that I can also tell you, and maybe something that we could consider, is if you have interesting stuff that's going on with your HCOCs, throw it on the wiki. Just make sure that it's listed specifically as headcanon.
It's like I just have to program.
Where do I put this? Where do I categorize it? Where does it go? That's fine. I'll figure it out.
But like, I'm not saying that you have to, but like that's another place that you could potentially put that kind of information. Oh, I've just put my foot in
I just don't have
fucking
paper.
mouth.
I need to take it.
Kate will be back in 45 minutes.
No.
We'll have a completely new site.
Can you imagine? It's like the mid to late 90s like hacker montage.
I'm in.
Okay. Paper. It's a good shout.
We'll put on the music track Harsh Times because I've just totally... Oh.
By the way, we have a wiki.
Yeah. Check it out. It's on Fandom.
I may have let it slide a little bit as I work on the new tech, which you aren't necessarily seeing that it's new, but it is new in the background. The machine operating the tech is new, even if the visuals are same.
If you were to pull back the curtain, I mean, it's shiny back there.
Yeah.
That's what's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah. Things like contributing to the wiki, Gilligood, for instance, is amazing because he'll throw intimacies
Oh, yeah.
within seconds of them being declared
Fantastic.
on stream, which is all kinds of awesome. And let me tell you, I know that everybody checks the wiki to look at those intimacies, including the storyteller. So it is, but it is a great place to post things like fan art, a great place to, and you want to post fan art of just like exalted headcanon characters, like fucking go ahead, go do it. I don't know. You know, like it's, the only thing that we ask is that if you're making an edit to a page that specifically deals in canon lore, that it just be canon. And that anything that you are posting that is absolutely not necessarily canon, that it just be clearly identified as such. That's all. But otherwise, yeah, wiki's there for you and me, and mostly me.
Sion Tell. That's what
What did I name these?
What the hell? Yeah. Well, some of them are just... Bueno. Party. How did we get on this? HCOC. We were talking about
Questions about
HCOC.
HCOCs.
Right, sure.
So this is actually a good time for me to ask then, for all of you. We're moving into a new season. What stuff that you would like to see going forward? Ways that you would like to, like, was there anything about season 1 that you're like, I absolutely want to keep this shit going? Is there anything that you're like, I would really like a chance to branch out into something that we haven't done before? Are there themes or moods that you're like, I've been missing this, or I really liked this, or none of this, please?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. It's Scott here. Hi. Scott Humphrey. I really enjoyed the mystery and the conspiracy surrounding the first season. Now that we are away from the House of Bells, I think it's a great opportunity for us as players to. Sorry, Eric. How did you know? The Shump. This is a great opportunity, or at least what I'd like to see, is us being able to chase down and like run down leads and chase down those mysteries in a higher, not a higher fantasy, but like in a more action-oriented way, and in not necessarily a less conspiratorial way, but now we're outside of the mystery, right? So more action-oriented, I think is going to be really fun.
No, we're spies chasing down leads.
See, I love a good spy story, but
Getting
like
our
I
contacts.
I feel like I've built a poor spy. This is what I'm saying here. No, I'm kidding.
Okay.
It's a joke.
Can't all be
Gail whispered is for.
Yeah, bam. Gail.
You-
It
You're
used to
the
be
muscle.
spy versus spy.
Versus spy.
Spy versus spies.
Spires.
Get the great one in.
Spires! But anyway, that's my 2 cents right off the bat.
Something that we tend to do is we tend to stick to a place. ExalTwitch Nexus is called that because we spent so much time in Nexus. Changeling, we spent a lot of time focused around the Spark. And so as much as we went on little excursions, we often were stuck in Montreal in the Spark. And so, and again, like doing a school show, of course we're going to always be at the school.
Yeah.
But something that would be exciting now that we're on the run is to spend less time in one place. So to maybe, to not, I think I prefer the idea of not having a home base, at least for now. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, agreed.
Gotta keep moving. Gotta go fast.
Gotta go fast.
Sornik.
Sornik,
Well,
what are
the
you
N
doing
is probably
here?
the closest we have to a Sornik.
Echoing what both these players said, but also House of Bells, we were very much operating within our elements, so to speak. No, we.
We'll be right back.
And so I'd love to see what happens when these punks are thrown into situations that they're not trained for, and watch them struggle to find their footing.
Yeah.
Because like at House of Bells, it was more like strange things coming to them, and now it's them needing to put themselves in strange situations, maybe in order to get answers or stay out of trouble, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like what goes along hand in hand with, I think, with the idea of not having a home base and so on is like, it means that you can visit a setting that might resonate like in the short term, but not over the long term, right? Like maybe I want to see the glass towers of Chiaroscuro. Maybe Pyres wants to look at himself in them. I don't know, whatever.
What?
I know, but it doesn't have to be like a long term. Like, well, I guess we're here now.
World.
Me. But you don't have to stay there, right? And I think that's kind of, so it allows for like a party setting. People are saying beach episode. We love a beach episode here on RPG Clinic. But you gotta build up to it.
Skeleton Friend says, got to build up to the beach episode.
Bam, bam.
I know that there was a beach episode teased. It took a long time before Changeling got a beach episode.
That is true.
But
it introduced the greatest NPC.
I have to imagine that it will still potentially happen.
Cool.
We'll make it happen.
What was his name? Glevin or something?
Glevin? The Gooch guy?
Yeah, Glevin.
Stop saying Glevin.
It was Chad. It wasn't Chad, but then I think we turned it into Chad.
I think it was. Yeah, I think we made it Chad.
Oh,
right in the Gooch.
Pretty sure it was Glevin.
It was.
oh, that's a gnarly ring. I could totally use that to pierce my. As long as it. Oh no, you're telling me that it's like an artifact that like is destined from the first stage. Well, maybe I shouldn't really use that to like hang off my gooch.
Damn it, Glevin.
It's all right there. I got a pretty boss ring down there too. You want to see?
Sure. Yes, and I also have one. Okay. Beach is the new Twilight. We don't like to see that.
Oh, Twilight Cast.
Twilight Cast. Yeah, exactly.
I was like, Twilight the movie series, or like
Twilight is the new craft.
We're all Team Jacob here.
No, we're not.
Sorry,
Are you really?
No, it's because Pyres is Jacob, so I'm Team Pyres, is what I'm
You're
trying to
Jacob?
say. Yeah. Go read the book and watch the movie and tell me that Pyres isn't
Why would I
Jacob.
do
from
Pyres
Twilight.
is Archie Andrews from Riverdale, and I will die on this hill.
That is correct.
I will die on this hill.
Okay, sorry. I'm not bringing this up. Okay. Oh, boy.
Go whisper to Sabrina.
Yes.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Ooh, who's Arresta?
Jughead.
What?
Hi guys, you want some burgers? No, Flavienna's Jughead.
Yes!
Big Moose.
Oh.
Yeah. She's Moose. She's definitely Moose.
Amazing. Oh my god.
Good stuff.
Reggie.
Oh, God, we don't like Reggie.
No, that's Brevin. Brevin is Reggie.
Fuck. It's true though. This is good.
All right.
Actually, I feel like she's more Betty. No, Resta. Resta is more
The
Betty.
girl next door.
I feel like she can kick ass though, Betty. I mean,
Betty can.
Yeah.
Basically,
Fact.
if we ever need any of the women in the Archie universe to do something competent and cool, Betty can do it. And if somebody has to be like a total B, then it's Veronica, or possibly Cheryl Blossom.
right.
Or be rich.
Cheryl.
Yeah. That's
No,
Veronica's
yeah, Rich
power.
is Veronica or Richie Rich.
Right, of course.
Ruth.
Richie Rich. Yeah.
That all being a tangent, things
tangent.
that we want from this new season.
Mm.
Do we want to talk about some of what we've sort of plotted out for potential starting points?
Well, I don't think we're going to necessarily discuss exactly what's going to happen in the first episode, other than I know that we're going to drop in on some action like real quick.
Oh boy.
But I think that we can reveal at this point that it will be about a month after the events of season 1, and that it will start in Arjuf.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
In Arjuf. Okay.
I'm saying this as if
No, I don't know. I don't remember. Like, yeah, cool. Arjuf it is. Like, that's a fact that I'm mentally noting.
oh no.
I think it was already said in chat. I think Angel Wick kind of dropped in there, but this is related. The idea of like goals as well for this.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, we can talk about player goals and stuff, but I think certainly character-wise, it's about a month later, like, we're looking to uncover more facts about the conspiracy that rocked the House of Bells. Specifically, who are the other allies, who are the other people involved in the attack? How high up are they? What are their plans? What are their other plans other than knocking down the school?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think some of the big goals that at least Aresta has, but I think probably most of the Hearth would have is, finding ways to either clear our names or completely, like, change our identities. Ways so that we can act more easily because we want to find these answers, right? And it's harder to get answers if you can't go out in public.
And party.
Party! I just want to get lit.
Rusty, you've really changed over this last month.
Rubench asks, how big of a town/city are you visiting Argus to be? It's like I wouldn't call it a bustling metropolis, but it's a relatively large town. It has to service the House of Bells, which was no small feat in and of itself.
It's a port town, right?
Yeah.
As well, yeah. So that tells me everything I need to know. Industrial wharf, rich people up top. That's a port town in my books. I don't know.
I'm away from the fish smell. I'm close to the fish smell.
Literally every port town in my mind is exactly what they all look like. The cliffs with rich people and workers down here. All right.
Montreal.
Montreal.
Is there anything about the tone or the mood that you're looking to change, or are things kind of working for you along these lines? In terms of the amount of comedy, drama, strife, romance?
I really enjoyed the balance of tone. I think, kind of as I mentioned earlier, there was a lot of emphasis on secrets and secrecy and conspiracy in the first season, which I think is really cool. And I think now that we're kind of in a setting where we're not necessarily, like, quote unquote constrained by that conspiracy, I think it gives an opportunity for it to be a bit more overblown or melodramatic, or a bit more high octane, perhaps.
Yeah, we don't have that safety net of the school. Like, as much as, we're gonna get in big trouble and that's a bad thing. Like, there's something a lot. There's a cap to the stakes at school, no matter how important the school is to some extent. Mm-hmm. Whereas now, like, there's no safety net.
Yeah. Yeah. So a more sort of like a balance of, peaks and valleys. Exactly. Yeah. It's right.
I think that it is worth pointing out, just for what it's worth, because Gilligan had mentioned it's a major realm city. I'm not intending to change that, so it'll be a major city. I just mean it's not like a megalopolis like Nexus.
It's not New York. It's not Tokyo. It's Montreal.
Trana.
Did you want to answer Requiem's question?
Yeah, sorry, I was just reading it, trying to, like, make sure I parsed all of it. Do you mind if I jump in?
Yeah, here, let me just, you want to read it out loud?
I have a question for Scott. I know in the first season one of Pyre's major hooks, can you read, Scott?
I know in the first season, one of Pyre's
major hooks was finding where he fit in, what he wanted with his exaltation. Do you feel he has a better idea in the start of season 2, or is he still soul searching? That is a good question, Requiem. I feel like, having met and interacted with Viren through the first season, Pyres definitely has something that he knows is not where he wants to go with his work, and he's like, with his life, I mean, and he's worried that he continued down that same track, that's where he would end up, kind of more like Viren. As a player, I have thoughts about where the character is going, and I am very curious. I don't want to like metagame and like pull things. I want things to I want to find reasons to sort of venture me down a certain path, if it works out that way. So I think he's still soul searching, to answer your question. I think he's still soul searching in terms of where exactly he fits in, but he now has a much clearer view of, like, what his fate could be, and he doesn't like it. So he's looking to get off the train. Yeah. There you go.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So that's cleared up. That's not something that we necessarily have to concern ourselves with or worry about. Is there anything else that we need to go over specifically and to prepare ourselves for the next season?
I'm just looking at my sheet here. I do actually have a question, but it's mechanical, so it might not be right now.
Yeah, go for it.
Well, it has to do with
While
experience.
everyone else thinks of other things to say.
Yeah, it it has to do with experience and milestones.
Yes.
I believe I understand how the system works, but should we talk about how that's going to work on stream?
So this is how we're currently interpreting
cool.
the milestone system. If you earn a personal milestone, it goes into a pool. Once that pool reaches 3, all of you can spend a personal milestone, regardless of who
That's what I
Damn
get
it.
for being stupid. Sorry.
regardless of who earned it.
Mhm. Right. Okay.
So
Nice.
if Elizabeth earns a personal milestone in session 1, and Kate earns a personal milestone in session 1, and then in session 2, Elizabeth earns another milestone, then at that point, at the end of that session, the pool empties, and all 3 of you get 1 to spend.
Right.
Now, in other words, you're contributing to the party. And part of this is because you might be responsible for helping somebody else get a personal milestone, right? So it's not as cut and dried as that. Now, there are also Exalt milestones.
Yes.
Works the same way. You gain 3 Exalt milestones, all of you will get an Exalt milestone to spend.
Okay.
Story, so also the minor and major milestones.
Yeah.
Those will be at my discretion.
Because there's story
Yeah.
beats, right? Yeah.
You can expect that you'll be getting a minor milestone basically, every few sessions, every story, and a major milestone every. Or is a major milestone every story? Here, hold on. Let's just.
Yeah, we can take a
call
look.
that
Major
up.
milestones were like, this is the minor were like chapters, and then the major was like, you've closed the book on a big bad of some kind.
All right. So
the
a
book
minor
closed on my
milestone is
face.
completing a single adventure or story chapter, and a major milestone would be like completing a story arc.
Right.
So the way that I would put it is that you probably would have completed single adventures or story chapters. You would have probably had between 8 and 10 of those in season 1.
Party.
In terms of a major milestone, a story arc, you probably would have earned like 3,
Oh, wow. Okay, cool.
something like that over the course of the
Mhm.
thing. And it depends.
Yeah, we'll
We'll
see.
see how it goes. But a major story arc would be the equivalent of, I've discovered that this character is anathema. Or we have rooted out this particular conspiracy and now we have acted on it. Rooting out the conspiracy, that'd be a minor milestone. Acting on that would be then the culmination of a whole story arc, and that'd be a major milestone. And of course, when you get a minor or a major milestone, just everybody gets it.
Right. Okay, cool.
You will all have the same amount of experience no matter what. There are no noms. There are no, you earned it and the other players didn't. That's not what's going on. So advancement will be something that we'll also look at as we go forward. Now, in terms of when you get to go up in essence, that is a more complicated question. The game recommends that 2 major milestones be accomplished between essence increases. So in fact, it might be more like you had 2 major milestones last season. Because I imagine that by the end of the season, you will probably be essence 3. But we'll see.
Yeah.
We're going to see how it goes. Maybe
Yeah.
it'll come earlier, maybe it'll come later. So a lot of it is kind of like because it also specifically says that this is a flexible rule.
Yeah. I think it would have to be, right? Without providing individual like numbers of things,
Yeah.
it has to be pretty flexible, right? Because otherwise,
Yeah.
So Raccoon's asking about the bingo card. So the bingo card, for people who don't remember or who are new, the bingo cards are kind of set out by Aragorn, which sort of culminate in various things that happen during game. We don't know what are on the bingo cards. None of us do.
No.
But the bingo cards might involve something like 2 of the PCs get into an argument, or somebody spends all of one particular resource, or whatever. Thing is, we'll have to redo if we do the bingo cards, because again, we don't do them. It would have to be redone for Essence, because certain mechanics won't exist anymore and certain mechanics are new. But I'm not sure what effect they'll have yet. We'll have to discuss that. We'll have to look into it. Because one individual milestone matters much more than one individual XP.
Yes.
Because it's no longer a linear system. It's now a flat system to increase your XP. So 1 XP is like, okay, well, that's one step among the 16 that I need to increase this attribute from 4 to 5. But now it's one major milestone lets you increase from 4 to 5,
right?
Or from 1 to 2.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll have to see. It's going to kind of depend on Aragorn and what we can work out. Work out. Yeah. Lift.
Pumping.
Anything else?
I'm glad we talked about that.
I'm glad we had this discussion.
Thank you.
Yeah, so that's one thing that was a bit unclear in the text, and that the devs did clarify, got a little bit lost in versioning. And there are a couple of other things that have been clarified that folks have been kind enough to take note of, and that will continue to happen throughout our play. That something that, you know, they removed an and or a not or a but, and so or even between like two different sections where they mention the same thing, we're going to either make a choice based on what makes sense to us or based on what we found out. And that's something that we will be continuing to change and adjust with throughout the course of the season, because this is it's effectively in beta. Like, it's mostly done, but it's definitely got some little corners to tidy up, and that will be happening as they finish the final draft, but we don't know when that will be. So yeah, subject to change.
Yeah, worth mentioning that we are definitely going to try to adhere to the rules, at least at the start, right? Mm-hmm. Hard to say I don't like a rule when you haven't tried it, but I am not interested in having a 20-minute long conversation among us and among chat about a rule while we're in play. So if we are consistently making a mistake and you know it, please let us know. I absolutely want to know. If we ask a question and you know the answer, please let us know. But if you don't agree with us and there's some contention there, and I'm like, but I think it's this way, we may have to just have that talk on Discord after the game. Mm-hmm. Because we're not really here, except for session 0, we're not really here to argue about rules. We're here to continue the story. So we'll make the choices that we have to keep the story going, and we'll get back to the rules later on. Obviously, anything that you see in the game, rules may not be interpreted the same way from session to session as our understanding of the game grows. I think there's a question for me. Oh.
I believe it was answered.
Yeah.
So I will point out that Mangani is one of the people on the Essence Discord, has been doing a fantastic job of compiling some of the rulings that have been coming from devs. We're probably going to be using that document to help us continue on with the game. It is fantastic. It's pinned over in the Exalted Essence channel on their server. So go ahead and look at that.
I think I also pinned it to Crunch for my own sake.
Oh, well, there we go.
Important to have.
But the key is I absolutely want to know, because it's a new system. We're gonna fuck it up. It has been evidenced, because I don't think a single person who has posted more than like one rule thing. I don't think a single person has ever been always correct. Mm-hmm. So trust me, I will make mistakes. I got to deal with this, and I got to deal with this, and I got to deal with this, and
we'll deal with
you're
that,
waiting for me
John.
to
Don't
point.
worry. Whoa.
So there's absolutely going to be times that I'm going to want some help. Just understand that if I don't agree,
house rule or GM,
then it's a house rule or a GM fiat up until the point where we can have a discussion about it. But please post in Discord. I'm happy. Look, I'm a game designer by trade.
Bam.
I love talking about game design. But I don't love talking about game design when I'm also trying to, like have one of my characters Mac on one of the PCs. That's not the time.
Oh no.
Gotta get me smooches.
And muchas.
Smooches.
But that's a very good point that to make. But 95% of the time I'm thrilled to see people bring this stuff up in chat, because we're too focused on other things to really start rules lawyering.
Yeah. Well, I've been working on like a cheat sheet just because, having 60 pages of rules isn't very easy to skim through while streaming. So just in making the first version, John looked it over and pointed out like 7 things that I had misunderstood when I was skimming, and I went back to it, and I'm sure there are going to be other things that I've missed or that we miss an and or an or.
Yeah.
And so it's great if people could be like, I thought it was the other way, and we can either quickly open the book and decide, or be like, we'll fix it next time.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
I will say, I'm sure I've already made this point on previous streams, but like as a player, the more I read about Essence, the more excited I am to try it out and get it going, because I feel like it has been streamlined not for the purposes of reducing the lore of the world, but for the purpose of making it easier to dive in and play and keep things moving.
Yep.
And that's great. Like, they didn't eliminate rules on like social influence. That's like one of the most exciting things about Exalted for me. And it, like, rules haven't been eliminated. It's just things have been streamlined, so you don't have to be like, hang on, let me go check if I'm on step 12 or 13 or whatever. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's cool. It's very cool.
Requiem points out, versioning of my previous question for John. Any rules you're a bit dicey about that you need to see how it plays out before making a decision? Fucking yeah. It is a beta. And also, I already know that there are some rules that I ignore or change from Exalted 3rd Edition, and I'm sure that Essence is going to be no different. One of the major ones that I'll point out right now is that I do not intend to play the social influence rules written or raw, read as written, or rules as written, in that I have chosen to make it so that when you are applying the value of somebody's virtue or intimacies towards their resolve, the rules say the most intense is what applies for virtues, and then the most intense of what applies for intimacies. I am choosing to, and I got some confirmation from devs on this, but not official, because the dev who said this did not work on social influence and didn't feel comfortable sort of making that call. And I'm like,
Right, it's fair.
it's most intense per side. So if you're using an intimacy against somebody and they're using an intimacy to protect themselves, then they can both interact. The rules as written would say whichever one is more intense is the one that matters and the other one doesn't matter at all. And I don't think that's what they intend. Because also, what if you have a major that I'm exploiting and you have a major that you're using to defend? Well, which one wins? They're the same the same level.
Yeah.
So I am going to say that it will be both currently until such time as I get confirmation in another way. And even then, I may change it because I feel like it's a bit weird otherwise. Overwhelming is really fucking powerful. We have discovered this. I think that at the moment it's still okay, but I'm keeping an eye. Any other rules that I am... Obviously, we've made some minor changes to merits to accommodate, and I'm going to continue to do that. I'm comfortable with the sanctity of merits. So the idea that if somebody loses a merit, they will be gifted another merit to replace it. But I'm going to say that the sanctity of merits applies essentially to a point, to a base. If I give you a merit, in the course of play, I'm not going to expect you to spend experience on it. I don't need you to. But you can lose it. However, the 4 merits that you have now will be considered under that protection. So if you lose Hope and Abandon permanently, you can be reasonably sure that you'll get another primary merit, another 5 dot or 4 or 5 dot merit. You'll get one back. But if you gain another ally and then that ally gets killed, I'm not necessarily going to be like, well, I'll give you another ally. Of course I will. Because you'll eventually gain more merits as the game goes on anyway.
I also want to just put out there, because it's like a special ability of the Terrestrial Exalted.
Show the beads!
The beads! Hello! We have beads! Because it's a special ability of the Terrestrial Exalted, and we're talking about merits, once per session, you can work with the storyteller to essentially earn or buy a merit at your essence rating. it lasts only for that session, but like I really like the idea of someone being like, oh man, I don't have resources, but as a terrestrial, I am well connected. And you're not getting a handout, but like there's some way to maybe work that into the story within reason. Within reason, I think there's ways of working it.
Or it's like
into
a
the
Doctor
story.
Who episode where you have like a 1-episode companion.
Oh shit!
They leave at the end kind of thing.
That would be great.
Exactly.
So
Yes, Krista.
absolutely, this is a thing that you're going to be able to take advantage of. And of course, if you ask for something that's completely unreasonable, then I may not be able to give it to you. If you're locked in a cave and there's no way out, you can't be like, well, I want to have command too.
Yeah,
like, Just
exactly.
an army show up for us. It's probably not going to happen in that particular thing. But none of you have ever been unreasonable. I'm sure you're not going to start. But yeah, so yeah, that's absolutely something that I hope that you will take advantage of. Just remember that it is only for the end of the session, and I will say that it's designed to be fleeting. So if you ask for like an artifact and you get the artifact, you are going to be expected to return it, or you will lose it another way.
Right.
You know, you can't. It's not like a library book where you can just renew every session.
Yeah, but command too. Like I just wanted to.
Requiem is a question that I think is worth everybody answering because
Yeah,
I think it's super cool. How excited are you about being able to affect combat without actually having to fight?
Like very. Yeah. Well, yeah. 2 thumbs up. I actually, weirdly enough, I didn't even consider this until right this second. But like, you could now theoretically play an Exalt without a lot of combat ability, whereas certainly the versions of Exalted that I've read are like, creation is a dangerous place and you're supernaturally awesome, so like take some dots in combat, please, you know, because otherwise you can't do any, you're in trouble.
Yep.
I still think that
cool,
you might be in trouble if you
Yes.
don't
Yeah.
have combat ability. Because
Right, yeah, 'cause
remember,
you're gonna get beat
you
up.
can help other people without being in combat. But then if somebody approaches you with a sword and you have no idea what to do, they can still cut you.
Yeah, if you don't have defense, right? Like, or whatever.
But I do agree that this solves one of the major problems, which is I don't want to play a combat character. So what happens when combat breaks out? Do I just sit there and do nothing?
Yeah.
And that can be really frustrating. Now, Liz, on the other hand, for Changeling, played a character who, at the beginning of the game, was almost useless in combat, and by the end of game, was definitely not useless.
We basically just like pointed Sophia towards the enemy, and we were like, "Go!"
Rawr. Yeah.
But that's something that it's a somewhat advanced tactic, being able to do that. But Essence is built around the idea that, like, no, you don't have to swing a sword, but you can absolutely affect combat in other ways. At least one person is going to have to know how to swing a sword or shoot an arrow or something, because otherwise you can build all the power you want, but then if you can't
right,
do
decisive
anything
attacks.
with it,
Yeah, that's a good point.
Guts.
Hey, thank you, Krister.
Krister.
I really like the idea as well, because there's now like explicit rulings around, okay, you know, if you want to help build power by, like, you know, creating something, building something or preparing or whatever, there's no reason that you couldn't be in some sort of situation where it's like, we really need to reinforce these gates while we're fighting off these people. And like, this is just a long roundabout way of me saying I don't have any crafts, but if you can roll to like build things and accrue power that way, if you succeed, like I think it's cool. I think it's really cool.
Yep.
Yep. And etc. There are
You
other
can
ways.
pilfer.
Pilfer.
Yep.
That's fun. It's a gambit.
Yep. You can loot.
your
Yeah.
lock in Final Fantasy VI.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice.
Yeah.
Use the steal command.
Yay.
It is one of the things that I absolutely adore about the combat system. And I'm really looking forward to seeing how it's going to turn out, because it gives you role-playing options. One of the things,
Yes.
like, all three of you are good at fighting. Your characters have the stats. You know, like, one of you is good at ranged, 2 of you are good at close combat. You don't need to ever build power without using a combat action if you don't want to. But you have the option that, like, if in the moment you're like, this feels right for my character to do this instead, you can, and you get to affect the world.
Yes.
Instead of it just being like, go Pyres, and Pyres is like, Thanks. Could you hit him? Like,
Could you do something, please?
Yeah, well, I just like building power specifically because I can see us being like, especially something like outmaneuver, which is one of the building power options that you can use, where you can reposition or hide or something. Like, I feel like that's something that we've talked about narratively anyway. I know that like, particularly with Ray often wanted to like get the drop on people in ExalTwitch Nexus, so I feel like that's something that I could see her using a lot in order to get that. You wouldn't, but it's not like you're wasting your turn by spending your turn doing that because it builds power. So I think it's very cool, and that you can like do it for yourself or for your allies, which is also really neat. You can be the bard, you can inspire your party, or maybe you can inspire yourself. Pyres just pulls out a pocket mirror.
Kick their asses.
Pyres, get in here. No, hang on. I am really good.
it means that you can have a combat where a duel where two people just stare each other down or start insulting each other or prepare, and there's nothing happens. Go.
Boom.
Right? And you can also, now you can declare a clash whenever you want.
Right. Right.
So that's also pretty cool.
Yeah.
I love the fact that if you get incapacitated, the rules around that has changed to a drastic degree, which I love. If you get incapacitated, you can take a dramatic wound to one of your attributes or to your primary merit so that you can get right back up on your feet. Or you can stay down and have your allies build power for you to get back up. Or you can just stay down because you can't be killed unless we negotiate that out of character.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's great.
Yeah.
Because there are times where I absolutely want to knock somebody down and not kill them. And now I don't have to worry about that. I don't have to worry about being like, well, I got to fudge this roll because if I do it too much, they might just fucking die.
Yeah.
I don't have to do that anymore. But I also love the fact that I can apply the same protection to certain NPCs if I believe that's important. And I think that is also very cool. Because if it's a villain who I'm like, this is a villain who I want to keep around for a while, but I still want to give the players the chance to defeat that villain. Now I don't have to worry that they're just like, okay, well, then I just slit his throat and I move on.
Cut that off, yeah.
Done. So, yeah, all of that stuff is stuff that I really like about Pyre's rips off shirt and builds a fuck ton of power.
Something to note, just because we usually note this at the beginning of a game, but this is now the beginning of a season. It wouldn't normally apply, except we're in a new system. I imagine these character sheets are not locked for the first 3 sessions.
Oh God, no.
Okay.
You can also assume that that's beyond 3 sessions because it is the first time we've played in this system.
Right, that's fair.
So I might eventually get around to saying like, hey, so it's gonna lock soon, but like, I wouldn't worry.
Last session, change up it is.
Oh,
It wasn't me.
I see we're talking about taking a boat next session. Wow, I have Navigate 5.
It's so
No, that
weird.
doesn't
Where
feel
else-
like a right fit for Aresta now that we're no longer on the ship. Navigate 0.
Damn it, Aresta.
No, we've been good. We have.
Yeah.
So I realized that I never brought up what I was looking for in terms of tone and
Oh, yeah,
mood and
please.
stuff like that. So I'm gonna just very quickly mention that. I really liked how the first season went. It kind of felt like the game that we get comfortable with and moving in. But we're going to be moving a little bit away from intrigue and a little more towards taking action, like you've mentioned. It doesn't mean that intrigue is going to go away. There will still be mystery to solve, but we're not going to be going like as hard on the I'm on the outside looking at the mystery. You're in the mystery and you need to find your way out of it. I am looking forward to you also considering your flexibility. The reason why I'm saying it this way is because we are playing in a system that now allows you for the first time to play any one of 10 different Exalt types. I am thrilled that you decided to continue the story that you have now because I really like Aresta and Pyres and Gale Whispered and I want to see how their story continues. But I also want to urge you that if at some point you feel the story is done and you wish to try a different character, this system is probably your best chance to do so. So, again, in no way am I suggesting that I want you to abandon your character, but I do want you to remain flexible to your own wishes. If you are feeling at one point, no, I'm good with how my character is, I feel like my character's story is over. I want to end this character's story and try someone else. This is possible. More possible than it has been in the past. So I guess this isn't more like I want this to happen. This is more like, I just want you to know that it's an option that you have available to you. But otherwise, I mean, I'm pretty satisfied with how the mood and the theme and tone have been so far.
Yeah.
And we'll see how it goes from here. I will say that building antagonists is much faster.
Oh yeah.
Oof.
That's something, John, just out of curiosity, are you considering, you did some clinic hours where you built some of the NPCs for
I've
season
learned my lesson. I'm not doing that again.
Okay.
Because I do it and I'm like, now everyone's going to be mad when inevitably I change.
Yeah, I was going to say like, I'm going to change this, I'm going to change that. Boy.
If I ever do that sort of thing again, it will be specifically a character that I'm like, this character is either not going to appear or is going to be an extremely minor character.
Or like a headcanon character, right?
Yeah, because in the end, it's it's not. People don't necessarily want to see how the sausage is made.
Fair.
Or they get mad when they're like, "Oh, it's sausage," and they're like, "You said it was Oktoberfest, and now it's Italian." Or alternately, you said this was a sausage and it turned out to be tofu.
How dare you?
And I'm like, but tastes about the same.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Classic. That's fab. And I'm glad for you that, just going back to what you said before, I'm glad that like it's easier to create NPCs in this system. That's good.
Yep. Could we please have some more wood aspects this season?
Straight up.
Gilligan just loves him some wood aspects.
We have one.
Yeah.
We had one. We had a fake one, and
Possibly another fake one.
A dead one.
oh, yeah, right. Wait, really?
Garavel?
Garavel. That's who I'm thinking of.
Is it that you blocked it out because you were the
my
last
fault.
PC to see him alive?
Yeah.
I'm not saying that I
everyone
won't ever
loves
build
wood aspects.
NPCs
Damn.
on Clinic again. I just mean that I probably, if I do so, I will most likely not be building NPCs that will have major story implications. Or maybe they will, but I cannot guarantee anything anymore because I got a little too much of people being like, but that's not what it was when you built it. And I'm like, but I thought I made it clear that I can change things whenever I want, but some people don't
Change is good.
like. Yeah, well,
Glamorous
not everyone is
Wow.
unseelie.
Wow.
But Gilligan, I'm going to make 2 proclamations right here.
Oh boy, I like where these go.
There will be at least one more wood aspect.
Yes.
At least.
Secret wood aspect.
And the idea of a beach episode continues to ruminate in my mind.
Success, Kate. Whee! Hey, that's the person from the emote.
Wait a minute.
Beach ep confirmed.
Is
no,
this
not
like
confirmed.
Half-Life 3 confirmed, where every time you say it, it's like pushed back and
Yeah, it gets. Yeah, Gabe goes to the calendar. He's like, "That's too bad."
You're very pleased with these announcements?
Yay.
Well, here's something else that I can say.
It's good.
Some other things that I can say may or may not happen depending on how we feel on community engagement. We have not forgotten about the idea of marathon streams. Scott keeps bringing it up.
I brought it up once, but it is. I do keep bringing it up. It's true. We have a lot of fun.
Yeah, we're definitely not discounting the idea of another marathon stream. We just have to find the right time.
Yeah.
And we have to find the right occasion.
Yep.
But yeah, especially because now we're together. Marathon streams with Zoom calls. Ugh.
No bueno. Not as much bueno.
No. Also, what was the other thing that I was going to mention? Right. A reminder that we do have a wiki. The wiki is a wonderful thing to update if you have things that you think are important to put in there. We would love to see contributions to that wiki. There's a place for fan art. We are lucky that we have people who are contributing fan art to us, and we put it at the head of the show. Although we don't put anything at the head of the show, by the way, unless it's been posted publicly.
Yeah.
And obviously you are allowed to send something and say, I don't want it shown anywhere else. You own the rights to your art. We're not fucking...
Yeah. But also, if you can't navigate the wiki, like the website, I mean, just let us know. Like, reach out to us on the Discord or through Twitter, and we can find another way to get it up in our pre-show reel if you would like that.
Yeah, because there are some incredible artists out there in Chatland, and we love
the art.
Showing it off. Slash,
Love
it
the
brings
art.
me the jollies anyway. So,
Krister, I will tell you that there will be at least one sidereal this season.
Like new?
There's going to be like
There will be at least
10,000.
one sidereal this season.
fuck.
Flavienne sidereal confirmed.
Oh no! She's my ally. Yes.
Chosen of buns.
Chosen of buns. That's not how sidereal. That's not any.
Pretty sure it is.
It is. Oh shit. We do love a good sidereal on this channel.
Who doesn't?
I still have nightmares about that music, by the way. Anyway, it's a whole other thing.
Yeah.
Not nightmares.
But we also have a Discord.
Yeah.
And if you're interested in also getting assistance from other people when you're making things like your headcanon original character, trust me, there's a bevy of people who are eager to help on that Discord. If you're looking for some ideas, looking for just some confirmations, by all means, please do. It may not come from me. I do have to maintain a certain distance from the HCOCs, but that doesn't mean that I can't help. It's just I can't confirm anything.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the Discord is a fantastic place to have a look at that. Can we drop the link all up in that chat?
I can do that. Please no current television spoilers, folks. Not everyone is completely up to date.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, NFL. It's a good question. I don't think you'll get an answer,
You
though.
will not. He tells you.
Yeah, we tell you the answer. There you go. How's that?
As if we know. Please.
I thought we were sort of like this.
He tells you. It's John.
We're the baby sidereals.
What?
We're the baby sidereals.
What?
Yeah, you're the sidereals. You've been the sidereals this entire time.
Is that what a baby sidereal is?
God.
Good.
Louise, that's so
Somebody write
frightening.
this down. Chosen of bebes.
Can you do your little like Facebook? Yes. Yay!
Oh, wait, no, did we determine that you're actually all lunars?
Spoiler!
Oh, no, they don't. Now they know.
Now they know. What's the twist?
But you weren't before. You just are now.
We just start now.
Yeah.
Exactly.
During that month.
A lot happened in a month, y'all.
Get Liz.
You know.
I love it. I love it.
Okay. So I feel like we're ready for next week.
Eee.
Is there anything else that you feel is important for us to bring up before we start season 2? While you think, I'll say one more thing.
Okay.
This is the opportunity to jump in. I know it's really tempting to watch everything and be like, I have to catch up before I'm able to watch things live. No, you don't. I guarantee you that you don't. We are planning, and in fact, we'll most likely be shooting, once we're off stream, a short recap video that will inform people what happened in season 1. It is not required to have watched season 1 to watch season 2. We were even debating not calling it season 2 at a certain point because, to let people play on. So this is the time to jump in and get to know these characters. Just because they've had previous adventures, this is the time. So please tell other people about it. Get people to come in and watch. Mm-hmm. You can watch live, or if you don't want to watch live, you can watch it on YouTube. Or if you don't want to watch it on YouTube, you can listen on podcasts. Just search for RPG Clinic in your favorite podcast app, and you'll find us alongside a whole bunch of our other episodes.
Yay.
A whole lot. There's
Yes.
too much content.
Ugh. Do you ever worry someone's going to be like, excuse me, in this show, in episode 108, and then like calls up a minor fact that you don't remember?
It's going to be exactly like when I was at Montreal Comic-Con and saw Patrick Stewart, Sir
Oh.
Patrick Stewart, doing his what do they
Star
call
Trek
them?
panels.
Panels?
Yeah,
It was like a,
yeah, like the
it was a
one.
one-on-one.
Yeah, exactly.
One-on-one.
One person panel. But somebody came up to the mic and asked about a very specific episode and this very specific moment, and he was just like, I honestly don't remember because
so
he'd
sorry.
done so many of them, and he's like, I'm trying really hard. I don't remember.
Yeah.
I think that's turning into our brains. We are Sir Patrick Stewart, or at least at that level.
Some of us are physically more than
Oh boy.
I'm not off my face enough to do the quintuple take, unfortunately.
Scott
Head
can
just
do it.
snaps off.
I love that video.
Woo.
Oh boy.
But we have other things happening during the week.
Oh,
Tuesday?
Tuesday over on my channel. That's twitch.tv/BiffTheBouse. I stream different things through the week. Specifically on Tuesdays, I'm streaming The Outer Worlds, which has been a lot of fun. Should be less hot and less uncomfortable and with less technical issue.
Now that you've said all of that, of course the opposite is going
Well,
on.
why did I say it? Damn it. Anyway, join me, though, because we have a good time out there, taking NPCs through romantic quest lines, mostly. I don't really do anything else. It's a good time.
On Wednesday, I run Scrub Check on my own channel, video game challenges that I have to complete in 2 hours or less. My current status is not a scrub, as I managed to
Can't
get
believe
through
it.
3 courses of Mario Golf Super Rush in a, well, under par. But what's next? I don't know, because I just signed up for 3 months of Xbox Ultimate Game Pass for $1 a month, because that was the deal that they had going on.
Damn.
There's a lot of games that are available to me. Will I play Forza Horizon, a racing game? Will I play Sea of Thieves? I don't know. There might be something else. The thing is, if you have an idea for a challenge that I can do, whether it's for a retro game or a current game, a game that I have reasonable access to, then by all means, post it on the Discord. Would love to hear your ideas, because otherwise we might just do Slay the Spire again. But that's always fun.
Yeah.
On Thursday, on Clinic Hours, we're going to be discussing the nightmares that storytellers get when players come up and say, I want to play this.
Oh, boy.
We've already started collecting ideas of player character ideas that tend not to work, and we're going to discuss each one of them and how I would try to help that player make that character work for the table. You ever deal with somebody who comes in and wants to play the lone wolf or the chaotic assassin or the lawful stupid paladin? All of these and more, which means that I have a direct ask for everybody who's watching here. I need your nightmare PC ideas. Post them in the Discord under the Clinic Hours channel, and we'll get around to it. Are we going over the Lone Wolf? We're going over the Lone Wolf skeleton for rent, because the Lone Wolf works great in scripted fiction, and in tabletop role-playing, not so much. But yeah, post your ideas in there. I will go through all of them.
Whoa.
Friday?
Friday, we're continuing the Punch Effect. We had a special guest last week. That special guest will not be there this week. But we're still going to continue the game.
Yay.
And it's going to be fun. And then it's going to be fun. And then Saturday, Sue Drew Crew might be fucked with again, because our Saturdays have been kind of wonky lately, but we will update everybody.
Yeah, we might push later.
Yeah.
We'll see, because we want to keep reading, because that's a good book.
Because they're at a ski jump now, finally. Nancy went over a ski jump.
Yeah, actually, didn't she like wipe
well.
out?
Yeah.
Montreal, of all places.
Oh.
Yeah, that's Saturday.
Sunday, I know that we start with...
Punchy Book Club.
Oh boy.
It was pushed a week. Thanks, everyone. It's at 1 o'clock on my channel, Sundog.
And then here, this channel, this same time next week, 6 o'clock, 1800 Eastern Daylight Time, we will be playing episode 1 of season 2 of ExalTwitch Academy, and we will have our recap video ready for anyone who wants to jump in, start fresh with us as we start fresh with a whole new system.
Just can't believe it. It's so exciting.
Yay!
until that point, we have to thank once again everybody. There were a whole lot of sub bombs dropped today, which,
Yes.
believe us, it is entirely appreciated. It means that we get to keep going and keep getting better.
Mm-hmm.
It's all thanks to you. Also, special thanks to our moderator for today, she who knows 10,000 things. So appreciated, Aragorn, for you
Nice.
being here. And we look forward to Entropy's Disciple and Strength of Borders joining us in the future. It's going to be fun. But thank you for taking the time to sit down and talk about what's going to happen. It's session zeros like this that make sure that we actually get to go in on the same page and figure out how we're going to play this safely, with style, and with substance.
Not necessarily in that order.
No.
We'll see.
Safety first.
Safety always first, though.
Safety first. Yes, sorry. Very important.
And we get to be together because, as we said, we started here and then we went here.
Is it that way?
See you next time.
Bye.